For my next video tutorial this semester, I want to talk a little bit about image submission. And this is for my Physical Sciences 153 course. Now, in the lab manual, it talks about how you have to watch this video, not just to learn how to submit images, but to get some very specific information that you're going to need to use for some answers. So we're going to go ahead and actually take a look here. So the first of all is, why are you going to have to submit images to me? So when you submit these images to share these with them, sometimes it's going to be an object of interest. So as you're doing a lab, you may have a particular object and you need to show me what that object is. You'll have one of those next week in the lab, as well as in the week after that. There's going to be some other times, like when we're working with earthquakes or with weather, where you might have to show something about the current conditions when you're doing the lab, because everybody is doing it at a different time and day. And then occasionally you're going to have to share an image with me to sort of show that you've done a particular activity. So these are some of the reasons why you may have to share an image with me as part of the lab activities. Not every week, but more than half of the weeks you'll have to do images. So some might be an observation. So in the lab manual, it might tell you something about you have to observe a particular type of thing and take a picture of it. For example, in this one, I might have asked you for a picture of an animal, and then over here on the side, you've got a picture of a dog. And so you have to show me a picture of a particular type of object. It might be a rock, it might be something in the sky, who knows? Then the other one is going to be screenshots. Now, depending on what type of device you're working on, how you take a screenshot is going to be different. Now, if you're not sure, like I was working on a Windows machine here, so I say something about how do I do a screenshot with Windows, and it tells me which buttons to push to do a screenshot. And there's plenty of information on Google if you're using a particular tablet or a particular operating system where you can know how to take a screenshot. Typically that's saved as a file, which then you will use in the next process as you're going to be submitting it. Now, when it comes to screenshots, if it really comes to push shove, you can't get the computer to take a screenshot of the screen. I have had students who will do something like what I've shown over here, where I've used my smartphone to take a picture of the screen. But you'll notice that this is not nearly as clear of an image as what you would get from the actual screenshot taken by the machine. So if you have to do that, you have to make sure that you've given me a really, really clear screenshot that shows exactly what I'm asking you to show me, to make sure that I can read that screenshot. When it comes to submissions, typically, because again, we're using Blackboard for you to submit it, there will be some file submission questions. Now, I'm going to go ahead and come over here back to my week 1 intro part 2, and I happen to know that I've got a question here. I think question 6 is one of these. For this question, you will submit an image that is a screenshot of your computer, maybe the Blackboard homepage. Doesn't really matter as long as it's a screenshot you've taken from your computer. But then it has here a place for you to attach the file. Now be very careful. Some of these assignments in Blackboard do not work well on a smartphone, which is why we suggest you actually do this on a computer. Particularly on the smartphones, sometimes the edges and you can't actually see the submit buttons because it doesn't show everything on the screen at once. So it'll say something about browse local files. When you click on that, it will open up a selection window, which again, depending on what type of computer you're working on, might be a little bit different. So I took some screenshots earlier and I know where I have them saved. And so I would come over to my folder where screenshots are saved, and I could grab this one, which is actually an old one here, and click on open. and then it actually shows me here that a file has been submitted. If you click on that, it should open up in a new tab showing me what image, so you can make sure that the image that's submitted is the image you want to submit. So that is the process for you to be able to submit a question in one of these file selection questions for your actual assignment. Occasionally, I will have a student who tries and tries but cannot get it to submit. So that you don't end up having a late file, you can email or text me the image, including your name, which lab number, and which question it is, because if there's more than one image that has to be submitted for a lab, I need to know which image file you're sending me goes with each question. After you've done this, though, again, you want to come back and get help from me. And so you want to make sure that not only are you sending me your image by email or text, but you're following up on what type of issue you were having. So was it that you couldn't figure out how to open the selection menu, or it was freezing up and not letting you do it? Tell me what sort of issue you're working on, what type of computer, on what type of browser. And then we'll communicate back and forth to fix the issues. This way I have your image to go with the grading, but we're also fixing the issues for future reference. If you have any questions on submitting images, let me know. And remember, there's information in this video that you need for that particular assignment this week as well.